Hello BFs, welcome to my channel. This is Bodfash. Today I'm going to be sharing with you very simple pattern I use for all my pants and it comes out very good. This is one of the best pant tutorial you will come across. And these pictures and videos I'm sharing with you right now are evidence of this particular pattern I'm going to be sharing with you. So I've used it over and over for both myself and my client, and I've never had issues with my crotch or my fitting. It always works and it's one of the best. You can grade it or alter it into a palazzo pant, into a boot cut, pencil trouser, or a cargo pant. So in my subsequent videos, I'll be altering this pattern to create the above mentioned pant. If this is what you're interested in, please click on the subscribe button or like this video, share your thoughts and ask questions in the comment section. Now let's get started with the tutorial proper. At the top of my pattern paper, I'm going to come down by 3 inch and rule a straight line, which is what you see me do right now. And then from the side, I'm going to come in by 2 inches. This is so that in case you want to add allowance in the trouser, like in your pattern paper, or let's say your waist extends beyond, you have enough allowance to put your waist measurement. I'm going to be using this box I just created, this L box, for my drafting, so I'm not going to exceed this part. So from the top, the line that starts at the top, I'm going to mark my crotch depth. The way I got my crotch depth is I divided my hip measurement by 4 and then I added 0.5 inches, that's half an inch to it. That is for ease. So the result I got after dividing my hip measurement by 4 plus 0.5 inch was 10.5 inch. So after adding 0.5 inch as my ease, I got 11, which is what I marked. Afterward, I want to form like a box where I'm going to do all my drafting in. So I marked 11 at the crotch line and also marked 11 at the waistline, and then I'll connect both dots together and get the square that I got. Leaving that, let's move to the next vertical measurement I'm going to be marking, which is my knee line. I'll go ahead and mark it and really straight line. I'm going to mark my hip line. So for your hip line, you can either come up from the crotch line by 2 inches or you mark your waist to hip measurement. I like wearing my trousers slightly below my navel or on my navel. I'm going to be taking my measurement from that area to the fullest part of my hips. For me, what I got was 9 inch. That's like a high waist trouser. And this pattern comes with the waistband in it, so we are not minusing anything for the waistband. We are going to include it inside the pattern. The next measurement to impute is your crotch extension. The way you get your crotch extension is you divide your hip measurement by 20. That's for the front pattern. So you mark the results at that crotch line. What I got was 2.1, so I just approximated it to 2 inches. So I marked 2 inches at that crotch line. At the hip line, you go out by 0.25, mark it, and then use your curve ruler and join the two dots together. I'm going to go ahead and mark my waist measurement without the dart. So I'm going to be adding a dart to this pattern, but for now, I'm just going to mark my waist measurement. My waist measurement is 29. 29 divided by 4, I got approximately 7.25. So I marked my waist measurement divided by 4 and connect it to my hip line, not the crotch line. Please watch what I'm doing. At this knee line, I'm going to go in by 1 inches, and then from that 1 inches I went in by, I also mark the same 1 inch I went in at the knee line at the hem line. So from the knee line, the 1 inch I went in by, I'll connect it to the crotch line, and then I'll now connect from the knee line to the full length of my trouser. The full length of the trouser I'm using right now is approximately 22 inches. I'm going to be extending it when I'm cutting it on my fabric. So at this knee line, I will divide my knee measurement by 2. My round knee measurement is 17 divided by 2 is 8.5. Starting from the 1 inch I went in at the knee line, I'm going to mark my 8.5 inches. I'm going to repeat the same thing at the hem of the trouser. Then once I was done with that, I'm going to connect the dot I marked at the knee line to the crotch extension, which is what you see me do right now. Once I'm done connecting this, I'm going to connect it down to the hem of this pattern. So we are done with this side of our trouser. Now let's go ahead and finish the waist area. So now I'm going to add extra 1.5 inch for my dart intake, though I'm going to be eliminating the dart when I'm cutting it on my fabric because I don't want the dart to be visible. But just in case you want to include your dart, this is how you go about it. The next thing I'll do is I'll look for the midpoint of my new waist measurement and mark a dot, and then I'll come down from that dot I marked by 4.5 inches and then draw a straight line that connects both dots, which is what you see me do. Once I was done with that, I divided 1.5 inch, which was what I added for my that intake, by two. So I marked 0.75 on each side and connect to the 4.5 inches I came down by, and I'm done with the dots. The next thing I'll go ahead and do is at this crotch line, this line you see me pointing at right now, I'm going to come down by half an inch, and then where my waist measurement ended, which is my dart extension, I'm going to come go up by 0.5 inch. I'll connect both to the dart leg, just as you see me do right now. This is all important because it gives fitting around the front waistline, and this rise that we do at the side, you'll see the importance later. We are done with the front pattern block. We are going to trace this so we can continue the back pattern block. You could either use your tracing wheel and trace it out. I'll go ahead and replicate this pattern into another pattern paper so that I can use that to draft my back pattern piece. And don't forget to always label your patterns so you don't mix them up. So this is our front pattern block, and there was no sewing allowance added to this pattern block. So you just indicate by the sides to add your sewing allowance when cutting on your fabric so you don't mistakenly cut it exactly. Now this is it. I have traced the front pattern into another pattern paper. So from here we are going to work on our back pattern block for the back trouser. At this crotch line where you see me pointing right now, so I'm going to come inward by 1 inch. So just as you see me do, I marked 1 inch from that point I'm showing you guys right now. So, and then at the upper part of the same straight vertical line, I'm going to go in by 1.5 inch. So already you know this is not going to be a straight line, it's going to be a slanted line. So now just going to connect those two dots I just marked in a slant way, just as you see me do right now. Once I was done with that, the next important thing to do is to mark our crotch extension. So I'm going to be dividing my hip measurement by 10, and I got approximately 4.1 inch. So before I input the measurement, I'm just going to go ahead and extend this horizontal lines. So I'll go ahead and extend those lines, which is what I am doing right now. Once I was done with that, I'll impute my crotch extension for my back piece. So starting from the line I used the blue marker to rule, I'm going to mark my 4.1 inch or 4 inches approximately, and then at the hip line, just as what we did at the front crotch, going to come out by 0.25 inches, and then I'll go ahead and use my curvator to join these 2 points. And if you're struggling just like the way you see me struggling right now, please go ahead and use your free hand and make sure the 2 points are touching each other. Extend the center back line by 1.5 inch for slim ladies and 2 inches for a fat or a curvy lady. So for me, I'm going to be extending the center back line by 2 inch, and I'll use my straight ruler and connect the dot I just marked, just as you see me do. Next, I will divide my waist measurement by 4 plus my dart intake, which is 1.5, and my result is about 8.85. So I'll place my tape in a slant way, just as the way you see me do right now, and mark where the 8.85 ends. And then from that point, I'll go up from where my waist measurement ended. I'm going to go up by 0.5 and use my ruler to draw a slant line meeting that point, which is what I just did now. So the next thing I'm going to be doing is from the center back line, I'm going to divide my hip measurement by 4 and impute my measurement from the center back line to where the measurement ends, which is what I just did. Once Once I was done with that, I'll now connect my back waist measurement to that point I just marked as my hip line, just the way you see me do right now. Also, I'll be repeating the same thing on my crotch line. That is, I'm going to be dividing my hip measurement by 4 and mark the result, which is what I'm doing right now. Once I was done with that, I'll extend the line from the hip line to meet with the one I just marked at my crotch line. Now we are done with this part. So moving on, at the nail line, I'm going to go out by 1 inches, which is what you see me do right now. Once I'm done with that, I'll connect it to the crotch line, just as you see me do. Go ahead and do the same thing. I'll also extend this 1 inch I went out by from the knee line to the hem of the trouser. So that part is not really showing at the moment, but that is exactly what I did. So whatever it is I was doing at the knee line, I will also repeat it at the hem line. For the center front knee line, I will go out by 1.5 inches. So then I'll connect it straight down. I also connect that 1.5 inch upward to meet the crouch extension. Now let's go ahead and label it, which is very important. So afterwards, I'm going to mark the back dart. So I'm just going to look for the midpoint of the back waistline. From that point I marked, I'm going to come down by 5.5 for the back dart leg, and then I'll divide my 1.5 by 2 and mark on each side of the dot. Once I was done with that, I'll draw all the lines and connect them. This is exactly the same thing we did for the front dart. I'm done with the back pattern, so this is how it's looking. So I'm just going to go ahead and bring our front pattern and cut it out. Because I'm not going to be adding any dart to my trouser, I'm just going to go ahead and fold in this dart as you see me do, and then I'll use a tape and tape it. So before that, please don't forget to always indicate what you want to do when you're cutting on your fabric. So I'll go ahead and indicate that, okay, my trouser band is also in this pattern, which is what I am doing right now. We are done with our front trouser pattern block. So now let's go ahead and cut the back. For the back pattern block, just follow the blue line, just as you see me do. That's the line I'm going to follow through and cut the back pattern. So this is the final look of our front and back pattern trouser, and I have stated in everything that is in the pattern, so in case I want to use this pattern for something else, I won't be confused. This is the fabric I'm going to be using to cut the trouser. It is a silk fabric. So I want to end this tutorial here because I noticed that it was getting too long. So I want to divide it into two. The next tutorial is going to be on how to sew this trouser. This is the end of our tutorial. In our next tutorial, we're going to be sewing this palazzo pants trouser. So if you found this video helpful, please like. By doing so, it will get to more people. I also click on the subscribe button so you'll be part of this amazing community. I love you guys. Bye.